Hello, my name is Tom. My children are in the first cohort to go to Cultivate, and my day job is an entrepreneur. So I have run my own business for my whole adult life, really. It might not be that just sitting at a table being talked at a teacher is optimal for most children. When I was learning, I took interest in certain areas, but also became very difficult for me to see the point in and sit there and listen through other areas. So perhaps if things had been a little bit more tailored, it might have been more suitable. I think after kind of trying everything, it became apparent that our children were just struggling in the mainstream environment. They were in a position of sort of heightened stress, almost at nervous system level. And that's obviously not a good way to learn and a good learning environment. And so when we heard about other approaches, it was naturally pretty interesting. I've noticed with my son, if he's just forced to sit at a table and take instruction from a teacher, that will work for a number of minutes, but it's not going to work for a whole day. However, if he's able to get into a task and use his hands or kind of work in his own way on something, he will stay on that for potentially hours and really learn and do amazingly well. I think I'd heard the idea about Cultivate from maybe an advert or maybe a friend of a friend, and it sounded very interesting. It sounded something definitely worthy of consideration, and an interesting approach, but also a credible approach with credible leadership and a credible plan. And and it's been exceeded expectation in terms of what we've seen so far, seeing the plan come to life. So I've been really grateful. I think at a basis level, our hope has been that the children will feel safe enough to at least be comfortable to be in a position to learn and a position to develop. With Cultivate, it's interesting like how much thought goes into everything. Seems to be a reason for almost everything, which I really like to hear. Even the layout, the environment, the approach to finding coaches, the methodologies, and that is really thought-provoking, and it's very interesting, and I think it will be very effective. Since leaving mainstream, which is a big decision, and it's a decision only you will know is right as a parent, we definitely have experienced a significant reduction in sort of the base level of stress in the house and anxiety and related things in the house. And it's allowed our kids to get to a position of kind of neutrality rather than constantly overstimulated and on edge. It's not to say that there's still not challenges. Of course, we have our challenges, absolutely, like many parents. But out of all of the decisions we've made, I think this has proven so far to be a great one. I think for us, the skills of problem solving, adaptability, critical thinking, and learning in your own way, I think is really important. Knowing why things happen and learning to learn learning to learn is really important, rather than purely memorizing information for the purposes of an exam. So I think that's what's led us to this. These skills are so important, particularly in the modern age of AI, where thinking in the middle piece is potentially becoming even more rare. And I think confidence is something that can be built in these schools. Confidence, and I've noticed with my children that if they're made to feel safe, they have that safe environment, they can then build the bond with the teacher, and then they can go about learning and be in a position to learn and get much better outcomes. The environment looks fantastic in Cultivate, and overall the level of thought that's gone into not just the environment but the coaching, the teaching, the methodology and the plan is absolutely exemplary, really is. I think true learning happens when you mix your interest and your motivation with an approach to learning that suits you. And that can be something that can be discovered as you go along. But I think at the base level, kids need to feel safe and they need to feel that they can express themselves. I think in mainstream there's so much fixation on arbitrary rules, uniform, upcoming events, sit in line, all of this kind of stuff, when actually how much of the time goes to actually learning. I think learning is being in a safe environment where you're not afraid to fail and you can try things, you can solve problems, you can be challenged, and that's what really attracted us to Cultivate. I think if I had a message for other parents, it would be just give this serious consideration. Like no one knows what's right apart from you as a parent. However, I would say this is absolutely a credible alternative to mainstream schooling, and what I've seen and what's been delivered seems to be ahead and what's promised and of a great quality.